You don't have to take anything smiling and acting like it's fine. Absolutely not. Radical acceptance is when you stop fighting reality. That's it. Hello and welcome to the Empress Podcast. I am your host, Jessica, known in the online space as Jess the Empress. I started this podcast to help you be present with yourself, cope with chaos, and simplify your life. I do this by combining psychology, behavioral science, and the tarot. I have a background in mental health, specifically a master's in clinical social work from USC, and I'm a professional tarot reader. So get ready to have a nurturing, creative, and empowering experience with me as we use practical magic. Hey love, before we get to today's episode, I want to ask you to rate and review my podcast. Giving me a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts would mean the world to me. I love knowing who's listening and what everyone is getting from the episode, so please take a moment of your time to share your thoughts, and I look forward to reading your reviews soon. Hi friends, welcome back. I'm so happy to have you here. Hi. You might notice there's a little bit of a different background. I have chosen to set up at my dining room table and just kind of flow with it and see what's good. What we're going to get into today is about radical acceptance. That's actually the theme that I have for the week ahead on Instagram. If you're not following me on Instagram, make sure that you are in the near future, because in stories, that's where I poll people and ask, what do you want me to talk about? What can I help you with? You guys have a say on what happens here on the podcast. Radical acceptance is the theme for this week, and I'm really hopeful that it's going to help you just embrace whatever is going on and make your life a lot easier, because I'll be sharing different mindset shifts and attitudes that you can adapt to and use in your day-to-day life. First, we need to get clear on understanding what radical acceptance is, because when I say this, a lot of people think, oh my gosh, I'm supposed to just take life on the chin and I cannot have certain feelings about certain injustices or certain things that happen in my life, and they assume like, okay, I should be okay with like tragedy and trauma and like, I guess it is, whatever. And it's like, no, that's not what radical acceptance is. We're gonna clear that up in today's episode about what it is. But first I wanted to say, like, you don't have to take anything smiling and acting like it's fine. Like, no way. Like, absolutely not. Radical acceptance is when you stop fighting reality. That's it. You stop fighting reality. I want you to say that to yourself. Okay, I'm done fighting reality. You decide to stop responding on impulse to all the things that are happening around you, and you let go of the feelings that are keeping you trapped in unnecessary suffering. And we're going to get into the ways that we do set ourselves up for this, but in understanding how we do it, we can then change the behavior, right? We can change the thoughts. And so you're going to get a lot out of this episode, but I felt very called to first identify, what do I mean by radical acceptance? Like, what is that even? It's when you stop fighting reality. It's all about accepting things as they are in a non-judgmental way. And I know that's a lot easier said than done. There can be horrible things going on, but you decide to do what is best for you under the circumstances. And I'll be real, when I first really started to apply radical acceptance was when I was going through a divorce, because there were a lot of things that I was not happy with at all. And I chose to accept everything that was unfolding exactly as it was, the things that were literally horrible, so overwhelming, really hard. But I decided it was on me to be the one that changed, and I had to drastically take accountability. So I'm going to outline some of the benefits to accepting reality so that you can see what you get when you choose to no longer fight with what's going on. You actually reduce your stress and anxiety. When you resist reality, you're creating this stress and this internal tension in your body because your subconscious is looking at the way things are, and you can only put the blinders on for so long before you start to have negative health impacts, right? Mental health, physical health, spiritual health. When you accept reality, you actually end up reducing your anxiety and your stress because you can be calm and you can be grounded. You get to bring yourself to that place, even when there's a lot of stuff going on. And we love that, right? We love being calm and grounded. It's our favorite thing. When you're embracing what is, even if it's something you don't like, you can choose the coping skills that you'll need to make it through whatever situation it is that you're facing instead of denial. Denial is not healthy, right? Denial will not have you leaning into the people that will support you, your coping skills, the things that are good for you to help you navigate a tough time. You're going to think everything is fine. And then, you might end up going out with some friends. And then again, because you're not properly addressing the reality of whatever situation it is, you're not properly addressing the stress and you're not properly bringing it down. And you're not even able to relax with your friends. Let's take this even further. You have a couple drinks, but those drinks hit you differently because your stress is amplified. And before you know it, you're falling all over the place and you lose your wallet and just imagine the negative consequences that can happen instead of, okay, I have a lot of stress going on and I'm going to drink water before I go out. I'm going to hydrate. I'm going to eat a meal and I'm going to enjoy some dinner with my friends. I'm going to allow myself to have a few drinks, but I'm going to make sure I have a cab set up, all the things, see how those are two different ways to handle the situation. Greater awareness. When you are honest with yourself about whatever is happening in your life, this allows you to understand who you are. And I feel like that's so valuable, and that's why so many of us are here, because we want to know who we are. We might be developing ourselves. You might know who you are, but you're wanting to strengthen those parts of you. Either way, it's all good. When you're real about what's happening, you can honestly just allow yourself to go deeper into your own thoughts, deeper into your own feelings, and then track behavior when you are, real, oh man, this is what I do when I get stressed out. I don't set up good coping skills, or you can say, well, again, because I am stressed out, I want to behave differently based on this stress. I don't want this stress to impact my friendships or my work performance or whatever. And you become so freaking powerful, you guys, so powerful when you understand that nothing is going to hold you back anymore because you know exactly who you are. You know the situation that you're facing. You know, again, the thoughts and the feelings that are going to surface based on whatever is happening, but it's a choice to believe those thoughts and feelings, or it's a choice to just say, they're here. Okay. What else would I like to focus on? You improve your decision making. We love this. Like I said, and I gave the example of coping skills, but you gain a clear view of the situation at hand, right? And then based on that clarity, you are better equipped to see the options in front of you, or to create options, or where you need to go. You're not clinging to wishful thinking. And that's, I feel, such a benefit to radical acceptance. And you can acknowledge there's a part of you that would love to escape and that would love to just dream up scenarios, but that's not the reality. The reality of what is happening is what is. And it's okay to want to escape. That's not wrong. It's a really good coping skill. We all have used it, but it's not the best coping skill in this scenario, right? You see outside the circumstances, and then you either take, head-on action, or if this situation that you're under is butting up against one of your limitations, you can just reach out to your friends and family or the people that support you, and you can say, hey, this is not my strength. I need your help to get through this, and this is what's happening. So the improved decision making is so key. Again, if you're living in a state of delusion, if you are just wishful thinking, you're not taking action. You're not doing the things that are really going to be helpful for you, and you limit your options. You keep taking action from wishful thinking places, but that often digs a hole even deeper. Think about how many times you've bought into someone's potential in a relationship and acted based on their potential instead of acting based on the reality of them not ever going to live up to their potential. Like, just think about that for a minute. That's so relatable. Most of us have been there. And so this, again, it can save you years of time. You can make a better decision for yourself that aligns with your values. But that's why when you know yourself, you understand your values, and then you can make decisions based on those values, which is so freaking powerful. This also increases your resilience. Life is full of challenges, and accepting reality is a key part in building resilience and being adaptable to the things that happen. I know it's not fun, but we all, I feel like, admire a person who can go with the flow. And I don't mean that they're like calm, cool, casual all the time, but what I mean is like when life hits them with something, they can say, okay, yeah, I'm going to embrace this opportunity. I am going to do my best here. And that is, I feel like, an admirable trait. It might not be one that you value, but it's one that I value. It's one that I strive to be day in and day out, is flexible and adaptable and resilient. And the good news is that it's a learned behavior. So and again, anything you have in your life right now is an opportunity to step into increasing your resilience. And when you embrace and navigate difficult situations head on, again, you cultivate inner strength and you become more capable of handling anything else in life, because you have this experience of being flexible. You have this experience of choosing to accept reality and then doing your best with whatever the hands are being dealt, right? Which is, I think, honestly so amazing. You improve your relationships. Yay, we want that, right? So you have a positive impact on your relationships and other people when you keep it real. You choose to be more objective in whatever it is you're seeing, your perspective, and you can distance yourself from unnecessary drama, right? And conflict. Like I said, we've all, I'll take ownership here. We have all bought into potential, but then we have found ourselves drained, exhausted, angry, frustrated, all the things, because we didn't accept that this person was never going to be what we wanted them to be. We just kept buying into the potential, and we saw little glimmers of hope, and we're like, maybe they can change and I'll just be the best person until they do, and all the things. But it allows you to also communicate your needs and, your hopes and all the things in a genuine and authentic way, because you know yourself and you're not seeing the illusion. You're not looking at the wishful thinking and the daydreaming. You're looking at what is. You know yourself for who you are. You know them for who they are. Again, having an objective view is so important. But this is where, again, you are not going to waste your time. You're not going to waste your time on potential. You're going to be fostering relationships with people that are available. So now you want to know how to do it, how to radically accept, I'm sure. Okay, so get a pen and paper or open the notes app in your phone. Definitely save this episode as well, because it'll be one that you're going to come back to. I'll probably come back to it. I'll definitely come back to the script in my life for sure. And I have. Radical acceptance is not a new concept for me. Let's get into it. Number 1 is facing the facts. You cannot change what you cannot acknowledge. I'm going to say it again. You can't change what you can't acknowledge. Stop running away from the reality and face the facts. If something isn't working in your life, admit it. If you've made a mistake, own up to it. Do not waste your energy denying or hiding what is true. You can't. You don't have that power. You think you do, but that's the illusion, right? Take a deep breath, gather your courage, and face reality head on. Even if you have a friend or family member who's lovingly bringing you some evidence to contradict a belief or an opinion that you have, take a deep breath and open up. Accept, right? Be open. Literally be open. Drop the resistance. It's so hard, but it's definitely possible, and it can become easier over time. And some things you're going to, feel some type of way, but we'll get into how to manage that in a minute. Number 2, practicing radical acceptance. So once you face reality, because you cannot have radical acceptance until you have faced reality. Like, you have to face the facts first, and then you can accept the facts, right? So what I mean by accepting it, I'm going to reiterate this, is without judgment or without resistance. And this is why it's called radical acceptance. It means that you're acknowledging that things are exactly as they are, as you're seeing them, even if you don't like them. But it doesn't mean that you enjoy what's happening, or you're like condoning it, or that you're willing to, embrace it all with love and peace. It means that you are willing to accept it as a part of your reality, that it is happening. That it's a thing that's going down in your life right now. That's how you practice it. You just choose to step in over and over again. Look at the facts and say, okay, I am accepting this as much as I don't like it, right? And letting go of expectations is tip number 3. One of the biggest obstacles that we all have when it comes to accepting reality is facing the expectations that we've built up in our mind about a situation and choosing to let those go, or to be aware of when we're building something up, because that is also a path in this, is realizing, oh, I might be setting myself up for something. I might be clouding my own perspective of what the reality is before I'm fully even in this scenario, because I'm making all these stories up in my mind. So you want things to be a certain way, totally normal, we all do. But when they're not, you then get really upset or really disappointed. And here's the thing, unrealistic expectations are that recipe for suffering. And it was something I talked about at the top of the episode. There are things that we do that create unnecessary suffering. When we're setting expectations, are they realistic expectations? And why do we have them? Are we clinging to them, or can we be flexible around them again and let life show us what it is, So letting go of them, practice being open and curious about what every moment brings you without attaching any particular outcome to it. And then this is the last step, number 4, taking action. So accepting reality doesn't mean, you're giving up or that you're resigning yourself to a situation. And this is why it's so important that we really get that belief concrete. Accepting reality doesn't mean that you just are a victim to life and things that happen. That's not it. You're going to take action. And this means acknowledging where you are right here in the here and now, and then taking action from there. You have to ask yourself, what can I do right now in this moment to move forward? Even if it's like one small step, taking action helps you regain a sense of control over whatever you have going on. And this is important because when we are accepting reality, we often feel very overwhelmed. We often feel very powerless. We often feel very silly or small. So that's the short and sweet version, but I want to talk a little bit more about the emotional spaces and how to ride an emotional wave when we're facing the facts, okay? Because it's not fun. It's definitely not fun. But it doesn't have to be what you fear time and time again, and it doesn't have to be something that negatively drives your behavior and reinforces running away. Confidence is something that I pride myself on, but it's still something that I continuously step into. And there are things that I'm better at than others, things I can just I got this. And other things where I'm like, I don't know. And I need to increase that confidence muscle. But this will help you do the same thing. This will help you increase your confidence. If you understand the nature of an emotional wave, and you then, once you have that understanding, can sit with it and can be present as this wave of information, which I look at emotions as information, as it washes over you and through you. And this is really, really important. So first, whatever you're feeling is a valid feeling. Facing the facts is tough, like I said. And so we have a lot of emotion and a heavy sensation when it comes to accepting reality. Because again, we're going to want to resist it. We're going to want to say, no, this isn't happening. This is not what I want. And you're not wrong for that resistance. The coping, the way that it works in the brain is if you resist it, there's this idea, which is a false belief, but it's a false idea that you'll be safer if you don't acknowledge it. And that's not true. You will be safer if you do acknowledge it, because then again, just what we've previously outlined, you can do something about it. You can get yourself out of a situation that's not safe for you. You can change a course of action in your own life if it's not, if it's something like you want to better yourself toward, you can change it. Feelings are valid, okay? Having them is a valid experience. It's a human thing. So this is about self-soothing and self-regulating. You're going to notice a rise in sensation in your body and wherever. It could be your head, your gut, your chest, whatever. And you're going to feel it intensify. But you are the observer of your emotions. You are not a feeling itself. It's just happening. It's something happening physiologically inside of you. So you're going to notice the sensations wherever they are in your body. And you're going to notice them swell or rise and intensify. And then you're going to notice your urge to want to resist that feeling. You're going to want to push it away. You might even slightly dissociate and wish like, oh, I wish I weren't having this feeling. Like, that's okay. This is a learned behavior. This is a learned skill, learning how to ride the wave of your emotions. So the more you practice, the better you get. But you'll notice the urge to resist it. You'll notice the urge to wish it away. And then this is where you come in with naming that feeling. And maybe you don't have a word for the feeling, but that can be helpful to identify where it is in your body. You can give it a texture, you can give it a color, but it's all really important. And then you allow yourself to feel it fully. You, again, we're talking about radical acceptance. You accept that it's there and you accept that you're feeling some type of way, label or not, noticing the sensation and where it is in your body. You are embracing it and being like, okay, you're here, and allow yourself to feel it fully. And when we're talking about feeling an emotion fully, it only comes into our body for the intensity. It only lasts about, I think, 90 seconds. That's the longest that emotions have been shown to really last in our body. Now, based on our thoughts and our action or lack of action, we keep it in the body. This is why it's so important to be able to ride the wave, right? So then we validate, okay, I feel like this. Okay. Yeah, I feel like this. I'm feeling some type of way right now. I'm noticing my desire to run away from this. I don't like it. I am deeply uncomfortable. And we say, okay, I'm deeply uncomfortable. And then you start to actually notice the feeling dissolve. You'll notice a little bit more spaciousness. It doesn't mean that the feeling fully disappears. It means that there's just less intensity. So there was a peak and then there's I don't know what you call that, going down, whatever that is. But you'll notice that like sort of roller coaster up and then the down. And so that's when you're in the dissolving phase of it. And then you accept and allow the feeling to be there. Again, it doesn't mean it's going to like dissipate overnight, right? You and I have all been in scenarios where we have to face the facts and we're angry. That anger doesn't go away. We can still have a lot of feelings around a situation, but you've acknowledged the fullness of whatever it is that you are feeling. And that is very important to your healing process and also accepting reality. Another good exercise to do here in this is when you are accepting reality, or maybe you're not quite in the fullness of accepting it yet, and you can write a list of the action steps that you might take if you decided to accept the reality. Let's say there's a little bit of I'm trying to think of an example. You've been with a person and you really like them, but they're showing you signs that they're not 100% invested in the relationship. And you're not really sure whether or not you want to leave the relationship, or you're not really sure if you want to stay. And this is a thought experiment, because it doesn't mean that you have to take action. And this is how we warm ourselves up. This is how we prime our subconscious mind. This is how we build our confidence and our strength, is through thought experiments and through playing things out, maybe before we take action on them. It's safe. It's a good thing to do. And this is what you would do in this scenario. You would say, okay, if I accepted that this person is not 100% in this relationship, what are my options? And then again, you would outline the actions that you're going to take. You're going to outline your options and then the steps that you would need to do in order to see that option all the way through. This will help you in whatever phase of action taking you end up doing later on. But right now you're telling yourself that you're not trapped and that you do have choices. So you're no longer staying in avoidance. You're giving your mind, again, options to think about. it doesn't mean that you take those options. You can always default to denial, like you absolutely can. You can choose to say, I'm not willing to accept reality. I'm going to keep coasting on the wishful thinking and the delusion. Like, no one is ever taking that choice away from you. This is helping you understand that you have more than that choice. And I think that's important. And lastly, we're going to wrap up this episode with some coping statements. And these are proven coping statements to help in accepting reality. These come from a DBT model, which is used for people with a variety of different diagnoses. But it doesn't, to me, really matter the diagnosis. What matters to me is, are you struggling to accept reality? It's something I feel like is very human and doesn't need a diagnosis. That's again why I'm not gonna talk about that, because it's hard to accept reality sometimes. It's a human thing. The difficulty in saying, yes, this is what is. So these statements have been proven under the DBT model to help people as an intervention in accepting reality. Not necessarily to soften the blow, but again, when we have words that we can say to ourselves, we can set ourselves up for success, and we can strengthen that muscle of knowing the more helpful thing to think about instead of the wishful thinking and the denial and the creating the scenarios, right? So the first statement is, this is how it has to be. This is how it has to be, like when you have to make a decision or when life is just giving you the lemons, like this is how it has to be right now. And like, that is what it is, right? Everything that happened in the past has led up to now. Things that you may or may not know about, but everything that happened in the past, it's led up to this now moment. I cannot change what's already happened. That's a big one. I feel like that's a really, really popular one. There's no point in fighting the past. Another big one. I love that one. I use that one myself quite often when I start to go into the woulda, coulda, shouldas in my own mind. I use radical acceptance. Absolutely. I use it all the time. And that's a big one. There's no point in fighting the past. You cannot fight the past. I can survive the present, even if I don't like what's happening. Huge one. I love this one. I say this one to myself, like, I don't know, probably 10 times a day. I can survive the present even if I don't like what's happening, because you don't have to like it. You're allowed to feel whatever way you feel. We just don't want those feelings to dictate your behavior. You deserve to be real with yourself, right? That's such a beautiful gift. I don't have control of the past. That's a big one. I don't have control of the past. The present is exactly what it should be given what's happened before. I feel like that's important as well. The present is exactly what it should be, even given the present is exactly what it should be given what's happened before. Sometimes we've been denying reality for quite a bit, and we're not looking at the culmination of experiences. We're not being truthful with ourselves, that we keep entertaining a person that is harmful, or we keep getting into scenarios that are harmful, and then we keep getting upset or angry. But if you look back, you could say, oh yeah, like given that that's what's always happened, why would I expect something different to happen, right? But I just want you to remember that you're really capable. You genuinely are. And after this episode, you're even more capable because you have these amazing things in your toolbox to use for helping you accept reality, and things to think about when it's harder to accept reality. Again, having a roadmap increases your success, and I want you to be successful. And accepting reality is the first step into unlocking your full potential of whatever that is. You define success and what that means to you, but of living your best life, of living in wellness, I feel is so important, and your full potential. So I do hope that this episode supports you and you gain a better understanding of how to navigate radical acceptance, and make sure that you give my podcast a 5-star review, because I really appreciate that. I love you. I love you so much. And I just appreciate you being here, giving me your time. We're at the half-hour mark. So thank you so much. And I will talk with you soon. Bye.